Goes, unfortunately, we've got some news that isn't great. I said, okay, hit me with it. And she goes, we found a large mass in the front hemisphere of your brain, in the glioma region. We believe it's a brain tumour. And my life changed overnight from that point forward. So I called it Terry, the Terminator, because a glioblastoma is a tumor, and he was my opponent. And I put myself in a fight camp as though I would do when I was fighting. Yeah. So I got my diet right, mindfulness, exercise, supplementation, alternative therapies, the full spectrum, forming good sleep habits, really, and then accepted the conventional treatment to go with it, taking a 360-degree approach.
Dave, hello. Thank you so much for being here today. I can't believe it. My real life superhero right here.
Well, thanks for having me on anyway.
It's great. It's so amazing to have you here with your unbelievable story. I know you say, oh no, my story's like everyone else's, but it is pretty spectacular. So where do we begin? Should we just should we jump in and talk about, where you were, what was going on in your life? You were kind of living your best life, everything was going good, and then massive stuff happened.
Yeah. Are we talking about a bike accident? Are we talking about...
Yeah, I feel like, God, I feel like we have to go to the bike accident because obviously it's such an integral part of it, but please don't talk about the gory details. Dave I've heard him describe this accident and it is not nice. It's horrific because he lived it, but I can't cope with it.
I'll do the PG version then.
Do the PG version, please.
It was September the 6th, 2004. I was currently in Merseyside Police at the time, and I just got into the Great Britain kickboxing team to fly out to Germany. Life's going really good. I've got a really good reputation within the police. I've been commendated, and I'd only been in 3 years. I just moved into my first flat with my girlfriend at the time, Sam, who I've been with since we were 15, on and off in that period stayed when I was an idiot, thought the grass was greener, but and we literally just found out she was pregnant. Obviously it was an accident, but a good one when Josh is being all right. So it's a Wednesday, I ride a motorbike, a GXR 600, and my partner in the police, it was our day off, the weather was stunning, and my partner goes, messaged me on one of those brick phones that we used to have, with a backpack probably, and it just said, do you want to go out for a ride today? And I went, do you know what? Yeah, we will. So I said to Sam, I'm going out for a ride today. And she goes, okay, into Wales, which we've done God knows how many times. So I jumped on the bike and I saw her looking out the window, and I got to my mate Russ's, ready for it. And I had a text message off saying, got this weird feeling I'm not going to see you again. Can you please be careful? So I was like, whatever. So then Russ comes out and he gets on, but then Sarah comes out and says, listen, I don't want to see any of you in A&E today. And she's never said that. So it was like everyone kind of knew what was going to happen. Long story short, we're in Wales, and we're going, Russ is about 100 feet in front of me, a nice safe gap as we always did. And he disappears around a sharp left-hand corner onto the Horseshoe Pass, which is a famous road for those who know in Wales. So I come off the power, as you do. You come right the way down, slow down. Then you lean into the corner, and then you come on the power to effectively ride the corner. Unfortunately, as I've come on the power, there's been diesel and gravel on the road. So what's happened is, as I've come on the power, the back end's kicked out and give me a tank wobble. One thing you should never do is brake, but my autonomous reaction, my natural, was to jab that brake. That sat the bike upright and followed its course, which went onto the right-hand side of the road, the wrong one. Usually that wouldn't be fine, but unfortunately for me, about 40 foot in front of me was a 23-ton articulated lorry. Yeah. When people say time stands still, trust me, it does. I had what I thought was a 20-minute conversation with myself on what to do. The upshot from that conversation, which saved my life, was jump from the bike. So I shifted all my weight onto my left-hand side. I threw myself off the bike. I landed on my back. And unfortunately, it depends how you view life, fortunately, I went under my legs, and all my lower bodies went under the front wheel of the cab, to the cab of the thing, and the back two wheels of the Arctic lorry. I physically watched my left leg snap up over myself and land on the side of me.
You said PG.
Well, I've not got any details. I'm just saying where it landed. I remember the whole incident as though it was yesterday. I can still smell the burning of rubber and everything. It's so ingrained in me. But the body's an amazing thing. I had no pain whatsoever, none at all. Whether obviously the body kicks out endorphins and dopamines and opioid like effects, or I was in shock. It was one of the two things. My first thing was to say I saw bits of blood coming out my leathers, and I just thought, right, don't panic, because if you panic, your heart rate raises and you're going to bleed out quicker. I didn't know the extent of what happened, and I just started to wave because I was like, no one should survive this. Sure, I'm a massive believer in fate. It's run throughout my whole life. The woman behind me in the car was an off-duty paramedic. So she must have stemmed my femoral artery, which are completely severed. She must have saved my life. Yeah.
I'm saying I love that. I don't love your accent. I
No,
love
no,
that. I was a paramedic. Oh
I,
my God, thank God.
I always kind of thought, if I'd been hit by a car, they said if I'd been hit by a car, it would have been worse because I'd have been trapped under and dragged. So I was there. It felt like an attorney. I was there. Russ came back, couldn't believe what had happened, lying there. Still have a sense of humour because eventually the ambulance came. They came over the other talk. They had a discussion, and he said, "Listen, we're going to give you something to pain. We need to reset this leg." I went, "I'm not in any pain," but they gave this gas and air, and then everything slows down. I was like, "Oh, this is better." And then suddenly it's in position, and he goes, "Just to let you know, I'm going to have to cut this boot off." I said, "Well, I'm going to bill you for it." I said, "They cost like £500," and he went, "The 250 now, aren't they?" So like, yeah. So we took it off. There was a conversation, and basically, I was likely to prove at that scene. Basically, I wasn't going to make it to hospital, so an air ambulance had to be called. The air ambulance landed in the field next to me, and I was lifted up and over. But I always say this: just before I was picked up by the ambulance crew and taken over. I said, "Russ, can you get the off-duty paramedic? Can you get a name for me and a number?" And he went, "You've got a girlfriend?" I'm like, "No." So we can say thank you after. Yeah, I'm sat there. My legs are pressed. I'm virtually dying. I'm like, "Yeah, how are you doing?"
Oh,
Like,
you're so on. You were just being so polite. I need to say thank you. Oh.
well, I get put over these walls and into kind of the back end of the helicopter and get shoved through. And there's the onboard doctor, whatever he was, and he says, "You all right?" And I said, "I've been better." And he goes, "Have you ever been on a helicopter before?" I said, "No," which is weird because when I was in the military, I worked on a tri-service base, and I said the helicopter pad where the helicopter was right behind my house. And he goes, "A bit of an extreme way to get in one." I said, "But I'm in one, aren't I?" And
Oh my God.
he goes, "Oh, do you want anything for the pain?" I said, "I'm not feeling anything. I've got no pain." He said, "You might be in shock." And then he gave me this something for the pain, and like this black veil came over, and then that was me. I was placed in an induced coma for over a week. I was flown to Glenclwyd Hospital in Wales because if I'd have gone by conventional ambulance, I wouldn't be here. I was told a lot later on I was 30 seconds away from dying if I hadn't got there within fit that. So I always say, what happens if that air ambulance was somewhere else? What happens if that doctor had gone to take a phone call, gone to the toilet? Everything on that day aligned for me to still be here now.
Yeah. And you wouldn't be here because there's much more good stuff coming.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I ended up having a 14-hour life-saving operation. I had 36 blood transfusions. At one point, they were putting blood in and it was spraying out because I'd gone through the femoral artery. The only reason why it kept my leg was because it was being held on by 3 veins. And because
You're going to tell me more. I can see. She wants to tell me the gory stuff.
Not the gory, but I completely degloved my leg, so all the skins come off from just above my knee to down. It's actually where my boot was. You can kind of see the front, and it goes down the back. I had to have. I've only got a quarter of the calf left because they had to debride most of my muscle, my calf muscle, because they went with gravel and I was wearing leathers. Can you imagine if I wasn't? So I've got no ligaments or tendons of that. I had to have 6 pins drilled into my femur and 6 into my fibula, was it? Yeah, to hold it together because it wasn't held together. I completely shattered my right leg, but I broke my kneecap in 6 places as well. So yeah, so quite a lot of damage. I was like, yeah, 36, 38 blood transfusion in surgery. They were going to amputate my leg at one point. But I think my sport's been my whole life. Always has been. I think, I don't know if it was my mum, my girlfriend at the time was saying, please give him the chance to get it. It will destroy him. So they did. I came round out. They tried to bring me round out my coma on day 6, but apparently I was in too much pain. I don't remember it. I've got no pictures from them, which I suppose that you wouldn't want to say, but apparently I was blown up like a sumo wrestler. You didn't even know it was me with all fluid and stuff. And then, yeah. And then they brought me around on day 7. And it's, as I say, it's not like in the movies where they sit up and start having a conversation. I just remember being pinned to the bed and coming around and being held down. It's because I had an intubation tube that goes into your lungs. And they say sometimes the first thing you want to do is rip that obstruction up. Now, if I'd have done that, yeah, that's me, game over. So I remember them pulling me down, pinning me down, and then they slowly took it out, and then they say breathe. But we breathe autonomously. It was like, and I just couldn't, because this machine had been doing it for a week for me, everything, you know. And then eventually I took this big gasp of breath, and I don't really remember anything else about that. My mum said that I was being sick a lot. I don't remember, into one of these bowler hat type things. And then I was due to be transferred to Wiston Hospital in Liverpool for skin grafting, and then onto another one to get, yeah, it's a big thing. I was on what was called a PCA, a patient-controlled analgesia. So it was morphine, and they're supposed to lock out after 3. There was a massive delay in getting me to Wiston Hospital. So instead of being there within 12, it was like nearly 24, that, you know, and I was just in this constant. But what was happening to me? I was asleep, dreaming I was in surgery, and I remember it like, and I could see them. So I was panicking, going ding ding, it'd lock out. That just kept happening. And I eventually remember getting to Wiston Hospital, and I unfortunately suffered with morphine psychosis.
Just to top it all off.
Yeah. So morphine psychosis is hallucinations, paranoia, extreme, everything. So it's hallucinations are as real as me and you. Everything people are seeing in their room, that's what you see. And the very first thing that happened to me was I was in bed, they were checking me in, you know, doing the handover, and the nurses were looking at me, and I physically saw them say, I can't believe he's in here. She goes, I know, yeah, this biker, he did it himself. It's his own fault, wasting a bed, wasting the NHS's money. And they're going, yeah, I hate people like him. And they were like, so I'm looking, and then one of them goes, should we try and get rid of him? The other one goes, well, we poisoned the last person's. So I withdrew. I refused to eat, and I was just sat there terrified that they were trying to poison me. That was one. There was so many more. I watched there was a bit on a TV there that they brought in. Well, you had them, and there was something to do with a terror attack somewhere that it went. And then my mum had just left. The next thing, the alarms go off in the hospital, and I'm looking around. The doors kick open. I was on Wiston, a huge bay, so it was Wiston's. It was amazing. And kicks out, and then the masked gunman dragged my mum by her hair, screaming. They place her on the front of the bed, and they shoot her. So I got blood sprayed up me. So I'm screaming. Everyone's running in, and then suddenly there's no one there. I always tell this one. There is a funnier one. There's a guy across the way from us, and he sat there, and like I'm refusing to eat now because I think everyone's trying to poison me, so I'm not eating that much. And little bits that my family are bringing in, and his wife comes in, and it just fills with this pizza, you know, this Domino's pizza. Obviously, other pizzas are available, and he's eating it, and the smell. And I went, oh my god! And he went, "You all right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, I said, "Oh, what's that pizza?" And he goes, "Oh, it's ham and pineapple." I said, "Oh, Hawaiian." And I was having a conversation with him about how people don't like pineapple on pizzas, but I can't think. And I was going on for ages, and he goes, "Do you want a piece?" And I said, "I'm going to leave you to it." There was no woman. There was no pizza. There was a guy just sat there going, "What are you talking about, pizza?"
Oh my god!
That's one
that
of them.
was all the morphine psychosis.
Yeah, so, but I didn't actually know I was in hospital. I didn't know anything. I didn't know I'd been in an accident. I didn't know where I was. I thought that they were trying to turn me into a cyborg. So I think that was from when I was in surgery and they were putting pins in and stuff. I just didn't know what was happening. Didn't know anything. But I think the final straw come was when my wife, I'm not having an affair, by the way. I get mixed up with wife and girlfriend. When my girlfriend at the time, well, not at the time, she's my wife. When she came, she was my girlfriend at the time. That's better.
Yeah, I understand.
When she came in with my mum, and I said, "Why do you keep visiting me every day?" And I was rocking in my bed, and they were like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Have you got a hotel here?" I mean, they were like, "No, we come through the tunnel. Obviously, Wirral, Liverpool, there's a tunnel." And I went, "Isn't it a tunnel to Canada?" I thought I'd been sick. I thought I was in a mental asylum in Canada. Yeah, so obviously concerned. So mental health were raised. The docs come down. I had a moment of clarity, and I just said, "Take me off everything." And he said, "We can't. You'll be in too much pain." And I said, "I'd rather deal with the pain than not know where I am. I haven't got a clue what's going on. I'm stuck in some sort of alternate reality." obviously they had to do what they did. They took me off it, and it was about 2 days later I woke up in the morning and that veil had cleared. That fog, it was still a bit foggy in my head, and I looked round and I was like, I'm in hospital. And then I look down to where my legs are, and basically I had a sheet over me, but it was like a tent with the six poles, but
Yeah.
there was blood all over it because it's constantly bleeding until I have skin graft. It was packed, but it just see. Then I look over to my right leg, which was up to, I had a cast up to my hip, and then I looked at my body, and I just looked, and I'd lost over 3 stone in weight.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just like reality was like, what? And then like literally, I was like, where? And then that fog started to lift. But yeah, and I just wanted to speak to my girlfriend, so they gave me my phone, but I couldn't remember the code because my brain was mush. I was like, so I had to phone my mum because I remembered my landline number through 30. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So they took your everything, all the drugs, and then there was the pain like through
Yeah,
the roof.
yeah.
Yeah. But you
Because
still found that better.
yeah, yeah, because I knew what was going. There was a lot worse pain to come. So obviously I had to go down. I'll just fast forward through it now. They
Yeah.
said I would never walk properly ever again. And
Yeah.
if by some miracle I could, I would always have a stick or a walking aid or a stroller. That's what they
Right.
said. So that was in my head. You know, it was quite a lonely time. I was sat facing one way, the window was behind me, and
Mm.
I couldn't even, I was laying down, slightly sat up, and I did that for about 2 months. No, I couldn't see anything.
Wow.
It really affected kind of my mental health in there because people coming and going. Um, so I was like, okay, yeah. So I had to have go down and have skin grafting, and that's the reason why I was there. So you go down to surgery, they take a thin layer off a donor area, they put it through like a mangle, they stretch it, and then they staple it in with staples, proper staples. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I feel quite lucky because 70 to 60% of the time they don't take. Every single one of mine took, which was great. That was
Amazing.
it. But where they take it from, the donor site, um, basically mine was from my left leg, my whole of my thigh. Um, you are left with no pain in the lower part of the leg, nothing at all. I still can't, I've got no feeling or anything. But where they took it from in hospital, it was like all your nerve endings are exposed. The slightest touch, it's as though you're being stung a million times by
Oh,
scorpions or being eaten by a fire ant. So if you can imagine, I can't move. I'm lying there. All the nurses are coming around Mike because I'm the youngest one there, and they're all chatting to me, having a laugh. And the lads are like, "Oh, the nurses," and then I need the toilet, so they all have to roll me over. I am screaming in pain, absolutely screaming in agony, while they put a bedpan in, back over. I eventually compose myself, end up trying to go. When I do, again, roll over, screaming in pain, like wipe it. Yeah, it's the most
oh.
degrading time, but that was horrific. That pain, I can't get across how bad it was. And then what they do is you've got to rub paraffin into it to make it heal.
Mm.
Yeah.
That sounds hard.
But anyway, long story short, it got to a point where I was trying to lift my leg up off the bed. I was just constantly trying to. That was my first goal. I'm always about step, step, step. Right. They said I'm not going to walk again. I'm going to prove everyone. I've got a kid on the way. Whether it's a girl or a boy, I want to be active with them. I want to play sport with them. I don't want to be that dad turning up in wheelchair. No, I know that's nothing wrong with that, but for me, I'm a young 23-year-old lad. Sport's been everything to me. You know, I was that annoying kid in school who was great at all sport, represented England running, county football, rugby, hockey. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that's what I did.
Incredible.
Um, so I was like, right. And then one night I was there and I was trying to lift because that neural pathway had been severed, had been completely kind of disrupted. And I literally lifted my leg up and then put it down and screamed, yeah, woke everyone up. I got a bit of a bollocking off one of the nurses, but they didn't know how much that meant to me. I just completed step one of me walking again. The next morning, they brought up, obviously because of that, I told them, the two physiotherapists come up and they said, okay, we're going to try and get you up. I said, brilliant, let's do this. And they sat me up. And then I just remember feeling really embarrassed because I thought I'd fallen asleep on a shoulder. I passed out. My blood pressure was that poor that I couldn't even sit up without passing out. It took me 2 weeks just to be able to get to the end of the bed and put my legs down. Yeah. The cast had come off by this time,
Yeah.
but the pins hadn't, the pins weren't. So then it was the progress of trying to, walk again. So they got me up and I was standing and that was good. I'll just say one thing though, when I was in that bed and I couldn't, I couldn't see that outside. Well, I wish I could remember her name. There was a nurse, and she just looked around and said, "Right," and she goes, she unclipped everything on the bed, and she wheeled me down to a fire exit. She goes, "I'm going to leave it." She pushed me outside and left me there, and I just sat there crying. It's like,
Oh,
like, oh my god, I'm alive still. So it was, I
yeah.
don't can't, but it was just something that just made because it was just, if you can imagine the mental toll, if you just sat there, not being able to move, you're just a TV, going through the same thing every day, yeah.
I mean, you actually could have gone insane, couldn't you? You literally, I mean, you're describing it with so much humility and, all the humor chucked in there. But honestly, to live that by the second would
Yeah,
be
it was
torture.
horrendous, but yeah, you got to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And then you're watching people going in and out, and there's just me just sat
And
there.
then you're still
I've
there.
not even been able to leave this ward. I can't see.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but
no.
so I got my legs down. Then next thing I'm on crutches, and I'm like, this can be straight. And I'm going, and there's people who you get to know. There's one lad. I'm going to call him Bob. I can't remember his name, but I'm going. He's going, "Go on, Dave, you're doing it." I said, "I'm walking, Bob. They said I wouldn't. I told you."
Yeah,
So then,
did they tell you would never walk again?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And then it was more, well, you're never going to walk without an aid again.
Yeah, sorry, you did say
Yeah,
that. I'm
it
so
was that.
sorry.
Yeah. You're never going to walk, or you're never going to walk on aid again. There's no chance. So then I had to kind of do stairs, but with a straight leg. So I did that because I lived on a top floor penthouse flat with no lift. So it was like awesome. So we did that, and then eventually I was transferred to Arrow Park, which is on the Wirral, where I thought I was going to go into surgery, get the pins removed, get my ACL, my medials attached, crack on with life. I couldn't have been further from the truth. Yeah. So I got sent. I went to Arrow Park. There's another part I can tell you if you want me to tell you how they took the pins out, but
No, please don't. Anyone listening is probably going, no, we want to hear. No, please don't.
yeah, no, it wasn't in surgery. He forgot to give me painkillers, and his number two actually tightened it instead of
Oh.
the pins were out, and unfortunately for me, what had happened is because my leg had been left straight for 4 months now, 3.5 months, 4 months, scar tissue has gone into the joint, and scar tissue is like stretching leather. It's virtually impossible. I went for two MUAs, manipulation whilst under anaesthetic. So you basically go down to surgery, they put even you sleep nerve block, and they basically crank as much pressure as they can to break through it.
Yeah.
On the second one, I came round and I knew I just started crying. I knew it hadn't worked. And he goes, it was Dr. Starmer. He said, "I'm so sorry. If we'd have put an ounce more pressure on your femur, we'd have snapped your femur completely."
Wow, that still didn't get through it.
No. So again, that was me. I was then sent away, left. I paid to see one of the private orthopaedic surgeons in the country up in Wigan. So I went to see him, walked in, had crutches, obviously, sat down, and he goes, "I really feel for you. I really do. Unfortunately, there's no chance." He says, "The only way you're going to get back to playing sport is if we amputate your leg below the knee to give you the best chance of prosthetic."
Yeah.
Me being me, no. Went outside, burst into tears. Worked for the NHS physio. So basically, say that's my leg. All I had was that. Say that the hinge bit.
Tiniest,
Literally,
tiniest,
I'd
tiniest.
say 20 degrees. We got to
20
25.
degrees, right?
Yeah, 25-degree flexion. Or what?
Yeah.
And then that was it. So I spent the next 14 months doing it on my own.
So you just went, no, screw you. I'm
And I mean,
doing this.
it was brutal. It was brutal. So I'd have chair like lying down, and I'd have my leg up here, and I'd made this special brace and this holder. So then, and then we were putting weights on, but we had to remember that an ounce more pressure would have snapped it.
Yeah.
And I would sit there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in agony, tears running down the thing, just sat there with the TV on trying to focus it. Then we'd take it off, and then the pain of me even trying to straighten it. And this was repeat. I had stuff like belts within. People going, "Why don't you go to the gym and drop the weights on it?" I'm like, because it would completely shatter my femur.
Yeah.
Upshot was 12, 13 months later, my legs got to 95% bend. I can run, I can walk. You wouldn't, unless I've got shorts on, you wouldn't know anymore. But if I'm at full sprint, that's when the mechanics happen. See, I mountain climb, I downhill mountain bike, I snowboard. No, it hasn't stopped me doing anything at all. It's just slowed my sprinting down. So yeah.
Oh, damn.
There you go. But
That's insane. And what was I know you said you had a baby on the way. Is that what was spurring you on? That was just like you said, you wanted to be able to play with that child, do sport with that child, and that was your
Yeah,
drive.
that was my drive. That's what kept me saying at times in there. It's what's my reason why? My reason
Mm,
why is what my wife, but also I've got this child on the way as well.
yeah.
That's my reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and we can all learn from that, can't we? You always, what is your why? Why is this so important to you? And you can keep going, why? But why? And you do it like 5 times. Oh my God, that's incredible. Okay, what's coming next?
Um, I'll go on to how I overcome that even better if you want.
How you did what?
How I actually prove them wrong even more.
Oh yeah, tell us
So
now.
obviously, I love sports. I went back playing football with the lads, and actually, my legs stronger than what it would have been with ligaments. I
Wow.
went back to playing rugby, but what I love is combat sport. That's what I've always been involved in. So I went back to me my gym and said, "Listen, can I be involved still?" And they said, "Well, do you want to take the youth?" And I love youth development. You know, I
Mm.
love bringing the next generation on. When I was a strength and conditioning coach, that's kind of a part that I went into. But one of the lads was having a fight in the gym, and I'm really good with my hands. So I got in and I was helping him, and just by changing the way I thought and actually fought, I was still quite good. So, I was teeing off at him, I was hitting him, but he was training for a fight. So then I slowed down and he took great pleasure in whacking me everywhere. And then the coach went, I think you should fight again. So I had to face that fear, really, that fear of being humiliated, by being knocked out, by being embarrassed. But then if we don't face our fears, then we're never going to achieve anything in life. It's about putting yourself out there. So I did. I won my
I
first,
want you to say that again because that is just everything.
but it is. It's like risk.
Yeah,
If you don't take risk, the biggest risk is not taking one. If we don't face
yeah,
our fears and we stay in our comfort zone, you're never going to achieve anything. It's
yeah,
about, anyway. Um,
yeah. No,
yeah,
100%.
yeah, I won my first 3 or 4 fights. Then I went up to Leeds to fight for the ISKA title. Got death threats on the way to the ring, as you do. It's that thing. If you win,
Really?
what do you do? You beat them and celebrate. Um, and then I won the Welsh Open Series title. I became British champion. And then I got a phone call, and it was from the Great Britain team. I got asked to come for selection. So for me,
Oh,
this is about putting the universe right. In 2004, I had that opportunity, and through no fault of my own, people may say, yeah, by the way, I wasn't speeding. It came down to 20 miles an hour. Yeah, so yeah,
really?
he said to my family, you might have to be aware of this. If he was speeding, a police officer, this will be all over the papers. But they went, we don't actually know how he's crashed because there was no skid marks. So when I came around and told it, when they get, then yeah, that makes complete sense.
So you were going what? Less than 20 miles an hour?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
'Cause I just sat the bike upright and there was no time to do anything else.
No. You are so meant to be here, aren't you? Nothing is getting rid of you.
So I was like, right, brilliant. And I sacrificed, when I take on a fight, I sacrifice. No one sees me. It's like literally for 6 months prior, I'd be waking up in the morning kissing. I had a daughter now. I think she was Hallie. She was about 18 months, 16 months, or what I said. Kiss her on, kiss them. And then I'd run to work 5 miles to get my long, slow work in. I'd train in the gym there. And then on lunchtime, my boss, amazing Cliffy Bar, I was allowed to go over to Next Gen, which is a mixed martial arts gym now. They're huge at the moment. But I used to go over there and work on hands, whatever with them, kickboxing. And then there was Steve Williams, who was the Wallasey Express English champion. I'd go to his to do boxing work. And then I'd go to my gym. And then I'd come home at 10. And that
Wow.
was it. And then at weekends, I had to go to Nottingham, the training camp. So we go down on a Sunday. You're supposed to be there at this time. I was there before. I was there after. I was so, and no one's going to outwork me. Upshot was I got selected. So I flew out in November 2009 with the Great Britain team. Did the ceremony, walking an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And I had 10 fights in 4 days where I made the final.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah. So I went into the final with a fractured wrist, 3 broken toes, bruises all over me. And this was a nice shade of purple all around here.
Oh, and your nose are nice. A
And then
lot of black eyes. Wow.
went into
I'm
the final.
running out of things to say. I'm just like, wow. Wow isn't enough.
So yeah, went into the final. I psyched myself up, got ready, and then my fight was then delayed. So I had this massive adrenaline drop, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good. This isn't good." And then went in, completely dominated him, and became world kickboxing champion. And
Yes.
instantly, as soon as my hand was ready, I started crying.
Of course you did. I love that. I love that you
I
could
think
cry.
why I did it was that emotion, as no one had been through what I've been through. No one had been written off. The fact that I'd done all this hard work to become the pinnacle of that sport for me at that weight category in that division, whatever it is, because there's so many different, like WTK, WKO, yeah, was just everything. So I came home with a belt, like all proud, had a massive party, said some, I've already been getting sponsor opportunities, magazines, stuff back then, and then everyone left, and my wife tore strips out of me.
Oh.
She said, "What else have you got to prove?" And then she was right. She was like, she goes, "For the last 6 months, I've not said a word." She's a nurse, and she brought up Callie, Josh, because she knew this is what I needed to do. And I was like, "Yeah, okay then."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what an amazing lady, though. She
Yeah.
let you do it all.
Yeah. As I said, I don't know why she's still with me, especially when we go on to
Yeah.
talk what we're about to.
Yeah. Okay. Go on then.
So yeah, it's 2014 now. I'm highly successful now within Merseyside Police. I'm now in charge of a covert. So I'm a detective sergeant now. I'm in charge of a covert unit that's in charge of serious organised crime, specifically gun crime as well. It's a very high pressure job, very stressful job, but that's when I'm at my best. Is when everything's going off around me. That's when I'm at my calmest. So I always kind of say is stress and pressure crack pipes and crush things. But the same pressure, same stress forms diamonds. So why don't you want to be a diamond? And that's exactly what my so I was going there, but I was also the single point of contact for all other forces. So if anyone from Liverpool or Merseyside were active in another area, they'd contact me. More firearms. We're talking your serious stuff. So I was in a role where it was supposed to be 8 till 5, but me being me, I'd be in at 6. I'd be in at 6, get my head across all the intelligence because I was in charge of all the dawn raids for that area and everything, and literally had everything coming into me. And then once I did that, I'd brief my team. We'd go out, they'd go out, and then I was never off on time. It always be 9:10, 9:10, 9:10. So it's May the 1st, 2014, never May the 2nd, because it was my daughter's 6th birthday. And I come into work and I said, "Listen, team, if something comes in today, I need you to take it off my plate later on, because I'm going to be in first thing in the morning, probably earlier. I have to get off on time tomorrow. I cannot be late tomorrow." Everyone's like, "Yeah, no worries." It's true to form. There was a firearms discharge in a burglary in Manchester. So therefore, it fell onto me. So I'm trying to get hold of the assistant chief constable, that sort of level, to get an authorization for firearms unit to pull the vehicle over and draw the weapons and potentially use lethal force. It's not like in other countries like America where you can just shoot first and then get out. You've got to try and get this in process. The vehicle was lost, but we knew it wasn't in our area due to the cameras. A girl called Jo comes up and goes, "Sarge, it's about 9 o'clock now. Sarge, I've done this before. Leave it with me." So brilliant. She was one of the ones, if you told her to do something, she would do it like straight away. So I get home about 9:45, maybe a bit later. And I wolf some cereal down. I get into bed and Sam goes, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah, another stressful day." She goes, "When is it, isn't it?" I then come round at 11:30 at night with paramedics in my bedroom stood over me, working on me. I'd suffered a 15-minute grand mal seizure. I think World Health Organization, they say it's now a clonic tonic seizure. But yeah, 15 minutes and I'd stopped breathing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you know what my first reaction was?
No.
I tried to kick them all out of my house. Because when you have a seizure, the person who has the seizure, I don't think it's bad for the person watching, my wife. I woke up and I was groggy and I had these people. So I don't know what, I went to bed and I woke up. So I'm saying, "Can you get out of my room? Can you get out?" And Sam's crying, saying, "Do you think I would have phoned them?" He said, "You'd stop breathing." I said, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't." Because you're not quite there. But the paramedics are amazing. They said, "Okay, Dave, don't worry about it. We are going to go in a minute. Can we get some details from you?" "Yeah." "What's your name?" "Dave." "What do you do for a living?" "I'm in the police." "Where do you work?" "I don't know." "What's your surname?" "I don't know." "Oh God, there's something wrong." And then I noticed blood on my pillow and I bit in the back corner of my tongue off during the seizure. I also then noticed a searing pain on my shoulder was horrifically dislocated. It was kind of down my back there. So I knew there was something serious wrong. So I was taken into resource in Arrow Park Hospital, where they thought I had bacterial or viral, whichever the worst one is, meningitis, because I was completely littered in spots. But my wife was saying in resource, if he was at that stage, he'd be in a coma now. So I was taken up onto a ward. My daughter woke up on her 6th birthday with the in-laws there. And we sat there and I had like every kind of blood test, urine test. I was getting scans. and they just couldn't find anything with me. Me being me, I'm going to discharge myself in a minute. It's my daughter's birthday. This is ridiculous. Not understanding the severity. Probably when you have a seizure, it's like running a marathon, if not more. I think my brain still wasn't working properly. So I was like, no, come on. Apparently, everyone came to the thing. We all sang happy birthday. I don't remember that at all. I just remember there being people there. And then I went down for a CT scan, and then I had to go back down again with contrast iodine. It's okay. And then the consultant came in, and you don't ever expect this to happen. And she goes, okay, we've got some news. Do you want it in front of everyone? I think my mum was there, my dad, the in-laws were there. I think the kids met. I don't know. And then so basically, I said no. I want it cleared, and it was just me and Sam. And she just looks at us, she goes, "Unfortunately, we've got some news that isn't great." I said, "Okay, hit me with it." And she goes, "We found a large mass in the front hemisphere of your brain, in the glioma region. We believe it's a brain tumour. We're not a specialist hospital, but we've liaised with Bolton Neurological. We're amazing." And they kind of confirmed it. And I just sat there and was like, okay. Processing, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this isn't happening. This doesn't happen to me. And I'm sat there looking, and I just remember thinking, and obviously they're looking to see how I react. And I just looked at Sam, who's in tears, and then that literally, so I went as well. And my life changed overnight from that point forward.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What the bad thing was, they kind of said, listen, it's Friday. We don't want you to be staying. We want to release you on Saturday morning, first thing. We can put you on dexamethasone steroids, which are horrific. And we can put you on anti-seizure tablets. We don't want you in hospital. And it was absolutely cracking the flags. And Liverpool were playing the last game of the season against Newcastle, so I wanted to make sure I saw that. We left, what the bad thing was, it was a bank holiday weekend. So I had to wait, knowing that I had this mass tumour I had till the Tuesday. And there was one thing, I'll just quickly throw it in. I worked the Everton versus Tottenham game as a sergeant. We call them in PSU in a serial. So basically, 6 or 8 constables throw their hand up for overtime, and we're all in basically a riot team. Is probably the best time, and we're there just in case. Oh, we're in the match. There's a lad called Jim, and I was having banter with him because he was an Everton fan, and I was like Liverpool. 4 weeks later, he suffered a seizure and a stroke. He died 3 months later from a brain tumour. That's all I thought was going to happen. That's the only knowledge I had about brain tumours at that point. So I had to live life and trying to live normal with your kids, and people coming and telling my friends that I had to go and we went to a local pub by ours because it was sunny, and it was a big, huge beer garden. So people come around, and we kind of lived in there for them because it just took me away from our home where it all happened as well. Yeah, and then we went in on the Tuesday, and basically I kind of explained I walked in, and it was Anna Crofton, my specialist nurse, and Professor Eldridge. So Professor Eldridge, at the time, he's retired now, was Britain's leading neurosurgeon. He wrote the guidelines for NICE. So if anyone got stuck, they went to him. And I went in and I said, listen, I feel like I'm on death row. I said, I've just walked the Green Mile, and I'm waiting for you to see if there's anything to do. And he went, well, there is. All right. And he goes, it's not a high grade one. He said, by the colour of the white, and he explained it all. I said, okay. I said, what we can do? We're going to, we need you to get another MRI to get a better imaging, because Walton's was, it's 3 ton. I don't know how it works, but they had one of the best. So I had the MRI, and then I was sent away, and there was no plan.
Oh my God.
And the worst thing is, knowing something's growing in your head, even though you know it's low grade, it's still dangerous. Oh, I was like, it turned out to be an astrocytoma, diffused too. And then eventually my wife was just phoning this secretary, and eventually we got that date, and it was like, great, slight relax, not completely. Worst 6, I wouldn't say it's worst 6, but horrific 6 weeks.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I can't imagine what you went through, but for me, when I got my diagnosis, just like you just can't believe someone's saying that about you. Like, no, I don't get cancer. No one's ever had cancer in my family. Like, what? I think you've got confused. No, we are telling you that as cancer. Yeah. And then that waiting, because you sound the same as me. I was like, I just need this out of me. Like, I can't. How do you expect me to walk around every day knowing now that there's cancer in me? You know. And then once you know, don't you? You can't not know it.
One of the things, like, well, if it was that serious, it'd be out now. But as we know, for me, it was I could take my mind off stuff. I could do stuff, but when I'm in bed at night, that's when the voices creep in. That's when the demons start to play on your mind. And I'd sit there and lie there, and it was like, you're going to die. But I wasn't even bothered about that. You're going to leave you're not going to see your daughter and son grow up. You're not going to be at their weddings. Your wife's going to be a widow. She's going to have to leave the house. She's going to be suffered in debt. And it was just spiral. And
Oh
eventually you fall
God.
asleep. You wake up 20 minutes later and it was gone. So I'd do one or two things. I'd go downstairs and I would do DIY. At that time, I was no good at it, but I still did it. I'm great now. So time I'd come down, I'd be painting doors, or thing I was really proud of. We had this coloured feature wall. Instead of doing it kind of vertical, I did it horizontal, and it was spot. Or I'd go for a run. I wasn't like I was told you can't do exercise because of the pressure on your head. But for me, exercise has been my release. It's my therapy, as I say. So it'd be 4 a.m. and I just get up and I creep out. I put myself up and I go for. I always say like it was like a 3-4 mile run. But that first mile, I would cry my eyes out because I didn't want to see, wrongly or rightly, and it's probably wrong. I didn't want my wife to see me upset, and I didn't want my kids to see me. My wife had to deal with what happened to me. She's then holding the family up. She's like, I didn't want to put any more stress that I was worried.
Yeah,
It's
I totally
stupid.
get that.
Yeah,
No,
but
I get that, but you do what you do, don't you? The body does what it does.
and this is true. And people think, so I'd be running and you'd see the odd dog walker. Now, I always think now, what must they have thought? Because all they've seen is this, and I was big, this big bloke running down the road, crying, saying, why, you know me? They must have thought, listen, mate, if you don't like running, why the hell are you doing it? That's true. I'm not making that up for comedy. It is true. It happened all the time. And then the next mile, I'll be like, right, you've got that out, sort yourself out. And then the next third or fourth, all the endorphins had kicked in. I was happy, and I was like, yeah. And then one day, my wife was in the shower at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And I said, just hot, aren't I? She goes, well, next time, pick your running gear up. I was like, okay. But she kind of understood why I was doing it.
Yeah.
And then we went in for surgery at Walton. So it was, can't remember the exact date, but we went to see my sister go and do the tunnel 10K run. So they close off the tunnel, and then me and Sam drove to Walton. It's the most silent journey we've ever done. No one spoke. Yeah. So we got there, got booked in, sat there. She stayed with me until she can. And then Professor L just comes to see me with the anaesthetist. And he is, I'm not saying he was. If anyone's ever seen Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon, and he has no personal skills, that's him. Yeah, he doesn't read anyone. So I always had Anna Crofton, my specialist nurse, for every single meet. That's how it worked. So he's there and he goes, just to let you know where yours is, there's a 75% chance that you don't make it, but if you do, there's a bleed on the brains, infections, strokes, aneurysms, clots. But also where yours is where your higher level in thinking is, but also where your personality is. So you may come back as someone completely different and you don't know about it. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning. And I was like,
oh my God.
But this is how bad he was. So he drew an arrow on the back of my head. Like, and me, I like to think I've got quite a good sense of humour. So I went, why have you drawn that on the back of my head? He goes, well, I need to know where I'm operating. I said to him, the fact that you're the top surgeon in Britain and you don't know where my head is there any chance your number 2 can take it? And he was looked at me and said, it's a joke. It's a joke, Professor. I'm so sorry. So that night, I didn't sleep. I was terrified. I wrote letters to my wife, my sister, my mum, and then to my kids. Oh. And I sealed them. I spent all night writing and pouring. I'll never tell anyone what was in them. I never will. And I put them in my in the box next to me, which was locked. And I got wheeled down to surgery. I'm not big. I was in tears the whole way down, like literally. Went in there, and then I quite like being put to sleep. I know it's going to sound stupid. I've had that many injuries through fighting, through the surgery. I like fighting it. Not this time. So I was wheeled in, and there was just a hive of everyone. There was 3 of them. And the anaesthetists were talking, and one of them says, do you think he needs this? So the other anaesthetist looks me up and down and goes, he should make it, so we won't bother. And then the other one goes, are you all right? You've gone grey. Do you want a pre-med? And I said, what's a pre-med? It's a relaxer. I said, why don't you put me to sleep so you can have these conversations over me when I'm not here? Yeah. I didn't even worried. I was up speaking after 3 hours. I was discharged within 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So I took retirement from the police straight away. Yeah. I had already was a strength and conditioning. I became a strength and conditioning coach, working with professional athletes, England rugby within the community, for UFC people in the UFC, up and coming boxers. I was rugby and combat sports specialised because that was what I love. Absolutely loving life. I was given a 5-year diagnosis with my astrocytoma. So I was like, okay, so I wanted to do something different. I took a sidestep.
So it was a 5 year. What your prognosis was? 5 years.
They gave me 5 years with the
Wow.
last suicide time. I refused to. Yeah, but I don't believe in prognosis, so it
No,
does.
no.
So
They haven't met you.
life's going great. You know, I'm back into peak physical performance. I'm working. I'm thriving through life. But what I will say is, I work non-stop in the police, like 8, 9. So I said to Sam that I wouldn't do that, but just because of how I am, and I was like, I was then working 6 in the morning till 10 at night. I'd work weekends. I'd work, and you know, just because for me, it was like, I want to get as much money. Didn't have much going up to give my kids the best things because,
Cool.
and it's about. There's 2 cruel jokes on this one. I was you lose your license for a year, and I literally got a letter saying we're going to reissue your license. Brilliant. I went to Amsterdam with the lads for a stag do on the Friday. Come back on the Monday. Went to go and get my scan results on Tuesday. Walked in and Professor Eldridge just sat there on my heart sank because he doesn't take meetings.
Oh.
And they hadn't even brought me in. And one thing is, I was told that I'd be brought in early, but I wasn't. I was brought in an hour early, which I didn't even register really that something was wrong. So I went in, sat there, and he said, oh, yeah. I said, this isn't good, is it? And he went, no, and he span the screen round and had a walnut-sized mass that over the central hemisphere brain. So this hadn't metastasized, this hadn't mutated, this one, it was a second one. Wow. So I was like, and I just started shouting at them. So like, I'm not doing chemo, I'm not doing radar, I can't be. And I think it was more an outpour of, I was told I had 5 years and now I've got this. I know it's a deadly one. I researched everything, so I know what it is. Yeah. I said, listen, and he was brilliant, Professor. He says, listen, let's not worry about the chemo and radio. Let's just get this out. I was in surgery. I think it was 3 days later. Wow. Yeah. This time, going down to surgery, didn't care. Been through it before. Yeah. Like I was so gone. He drew an X on my thing, and I've got posts and stuff that in on Facebook because I was documenting everything. I was throwing stuff out there all the time. So yeah, and went down for surgery, all went wrong. I think it was a 12, 14-hour surgery because that walnut-sized mass that was sat there in 2 weeks had doubled in size and gone into the brain. Yeah. Oh my God. Now, where I am thankful is if I hadn't have had the first one and hadn't been having 3-month scans from 2 weeks, if I'd have had that normal one, I wouldn't be here now. Can you imagine? Also, Professor Eldridge got 98% out. Apparently, most wouldn't do that. Really? Yeah, they would do as much and get it out, but he kept going and going and going, trying to get as much, because he actually apologised to me on the other side. I said, you've got nothing to apologise for. I said, you've done your work. It's now up to me to take that baton and run with it. So we were sat in there. I was 14 days in hospital, and Anna comes up to us and says, listen, I've got the results. Do you want them? The pathology, the histology of what it is. I said, yes. So me and Sam went into the family. She goes, can we go in the family room? So we know what's coming here. She sat there and she had tears in her eyes. So I put my hand on her knee and said, I've got 12 hours to live. It's a glioblastoma. Anything you say now is a bonus. And she went, yeah, it is. So the standard, she goes, do you want to know it? I want to know everything. A lot of people don't. And there's a big thing in the cancer world, you might say, where people are, I'm not a warrior, I'm not a fighter. Well, I was, because I was a kickboxing champion and it was my fight. And she goes, do you want to know what the standard is? So what they kind of say is it's 3 months without treatment, 12 to 18 with. Because mine was an IDH1 wild type, she goes, it's 6 to 8 months with treatment. I just sat down, and I remember going back into me, because on the ward there was 3 of them, still good mates with a few of them who were on the ward, like decks and everything. And I remember coming in and going into there, and usually were laughing, and there was nothing, and so I knew it was wrong because you just shut the thing over, and I could just hear you crying. Oh.
I'm getting a bit of a it's getting you. Now I'm not surprised it's going to stay with you. Wow.
Look at that. Oh. Anyway, I'm fine with it. So that was it. And then obviously I got sent home. I kind of said I was going to do treat. I was, but in my head, I didn't know. I wasn't too sure. Yeah. And I went home and I thought, do I want to spend the next 6 to 8 months going through brutal treatment just to pass away and die at the end? Or do I want to spend the next 3 months living my best life, making many memories as I could? And I sank into a depression. I've never done it in my life. And I sat on that couch and I had accepted death. I didn't care. And I was just waiting for it to happen. Life was passing me by. And I always say this, I know there's other parts, but if you can imagine time lapse cinematography, where there's one stationary thing here and everything's going, that
Yeah,
was me.
yeah, yeah.
Sat on the couch and I was eating and I was eating and I was eating and I was watching TV and I didn't
Yeah.
move and I'd go to bed, I'd sleep on there, and it was just a relentless day after day after day. And my wife said that we'd been on a bike ride before, but I don't remember that at all. And she said, I just wanted to kickstart some life back into you.
Yeah.
She comes up to me and says, come on, whether you like it or not,
Freeze response. Yeah.
we need to get on we need to go for a run. And I was like, I'm not going for a run. She goes, come on. No, why? She says, you know, sport was my life. I'm going to die. Leave me alone. But obviously, women out there, women are always right. So we ended up,
Yeah, I'm glad you've learned that.
yeah, we went on this run. I always say it was 5K. It probably wasn't even that. It was horrific. And just to put it in context, well, I was only about 4 or 5 weeks out of, or 4 or 5 weeks out of surgery anyway, because you can't do anything the first 6 weeks. But it was horrific. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I thought I was going to die. I stopped that many times, and Sam beat me. And now she never beat me again. I knew there was something wrong. But that night, I felt a little bit better. I slept a little bit better. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm downstairs. I've got my head on my hands and knees. It's pitch black. I'm crying my eyes out. Absolutely. I just went, what are you doing? You said you're going to come away and live the best 3 months you can, but what have you done? You've sat here and cried and had a pity party about the cards life have dealt you. Now sort yourself out. Now, I didn't think I was going to survive. I said, so if 6 to 8 months is the average, I've never been average at anything. So I'm going to get it to that 18 months. So I called it Terry the Terminator, because a glioblastoma is a tumor, and he was my opponent. And I put myself in a fight camp as though I would do when I was fighting.
Yeah.
I got my diet right, mindfulness, exercise, supplementation, alternative therapies. The full spectrum, forming good sleep habits. Really, and then accepted the conventional treatment to go with it, taking a 360-degree approach.
Wow. So hang on, can we just pause there, because you just really quickly said all the stuff that I want to know. And when I told people you were coming on, they were like, tell me what he did. Tell me how has he got to this stage? Like, how has he lived with it for so long? And blah, blah, blah. So you just said really fast, nutrition, blah, 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 blah. Tell us the things.
It's only because I'm aware I don't want this to go on for 40 hours.
All right, give us the headlines.
So basically, put yourself again. Water. You've got to get a good quality of water. That's one thing.
Quality of water.
Quality of water. Yeah.
Okay.
You can go 5-6 weeks without food. You can't go more than 2 days. And the water's in our taps. I haven't drank tap water for 11 years. We won't go into that. Then you've got to get the good nutrition right. You've got to get good nutrition. Then it's supplementation, supplementing where you're not getting enough nutrition. Then you've got to get mindfulness right, visualization.
Talking my language.
Exercise inhibits cancer growth by up to 60%.
Yes, I love that. I read that you said that. Up to 60%.
So some radio and chemo can be 2%, depending on what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So hang on. So what does that look like? So say I'd been exercising a lot before my diagnosis, that would have inhibited the chance of it forming.
Actually, I was in the fittest yet I still got it. But as we know, we get into it, it can be so many different. Also, it can be stress. It just takes that DNA policeman to be switched off. We create cancer cells, thousands of every day. It just takes.
What I always say. We've all got the minutes.
Got them. I think it's. I always said the DNA policeman P45. That's when you get sacked, isn't it? You get a thing. I think it's 54. I don't know, but it just takes the right situation, whether it's stress, whether it's the environment, something for it to switch off and for it to grow.
Yeah.
But then not just that. Yeah, someone say, "Well, I'm fine." Alternative therapies or complementary therapies. So we should all be doing cold water swimming. We should be getting outside, walking on the ground. We should be looking at the sunlight. We should be, working. Not taking processed food, making better choices. So it's putting this whole package together, which I did when I was fighting, and then accepted the conventional side of it as well.
So you did. So you went for you had the radio and chemo.
People say to me, do you regret doing it? No. And I had a friend, Dan, he's one of my closest friends. He lives in Portugal. And when I said I was doing it, he was like, no, you're okay. And I just said to him, if you're sat there being told you've got 3 months to live without it, you can't say that. I didn't want to gamble with my, oh no.
Wow.
Oh, you vanished.
I'm here. I can still see you.
I can't see anything.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, but I can still see you. So don't worry. It's carrying on.
Oh, what's happened there? Here we go. Click on that. No.
So it's
Yeah.
just, you
Well,
can hear me though. Oh yeah, I was going to say it's still carrying on
I
recording.
just off and the screen went blank and I went, oh no.
I was
Anyway,
like, is this part of the story?
diversity coming through. I'm testing you now. What was I saying then before?
So you were talking about your friends saying, really didn't want you to
Yes,
have the chemo radio, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Sorry, you're not the one with the diagnosis.
I've got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And I was 33. I think I'm young. I said, I'm not going to gamble this. I know where chemotherapy comes from. I know it all. You not. I said, unless you can get on board with me, because you've got to cut negativity away from you. You've got to cut these energy sucking vampires away from you. You've got to be positive.
Yeah.
I said, if you can't get on board, I don't want to speak to you. But he did. He was all right in the end with that.
Yeah, people come from a good place, don't they? But until you're in those shoes, you can't judge. You can't judge. So
you remember before surgery, I was saying, I'm not doing it. You've no chance. You'll never get me. But when you're sat there and you've been given 3 months to live,
it's so different.
No, because I think it did do enough damage and get rid of as much as it could for me to be able to put all the proper stuff, not proper, alongside.
The good stuff. Yeah, no, and I love that, and that's our alignment, isn't it? So my thing was to just go, yeah, I will have the conventional therapy, but then I found all the other stuff, as you say, alternative complementary therapies, and my first thing was reflexology, and then Reiki, and then and I'm a massive advocate of red light therapy and the cold water plunge and wild swimming, all year round. And I know that's a massive passion of yours. So, I mean, God, people are probably going, no, we want to know more. Tell us what you ate. Tell us what, but can you just go back to the water thing quickly? Because that's straight away, I'm like, okay, what should I be doing? How do you not drink tap water? What are you drinking?
Right. So it's what I kind of always say. So you've got to think in our water, there is chlorine, there's heavy metals, there's mercury, there's fluoride. Like, I'm not against fluoride, but in America, there are studies to show the higher the fluoride, the lower the IQ. If you look on a pack, I'm not against fluoride. I'm not one of these but if you look on a toothpaste and it says, if ingested X amount, go and see a doctor. But so so what I did is I had money raised for me. So I bought what's called a Kangen water machine. So it's used in Japan and America as a medical device. Kangen means to return to the origin. Now it's expensive. I got it raised to it. What it does, it goes through charcoal filters, which then filter out all what I'm saying, but it leaves the minerals in it because we do need the minerals from the water, as you know. But then what it then does, it goes through platinum ionizers, I think it is, or something, and basically it charges it full of antioxidants and oxygen. So when I tip when I've gone through my special tap, it comes out cloudy white. It's but you can also change it from pH 8.5 to 9.5, staying in that alkaline state. But also you can put it on 2.5. Because when you get diagnosed with cancer, the financial burden is horrendous, and then you want to change, you want to go organic. It's impossible, but you can wash all the pesticides and stuff off it. And what I saw was an investment for the family. I've had my same machine for 11 years now. But what I will say to people is you don't have to get the big expensive one. As long as you're filtering it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, just make sure you're filtering. How crazy expensive are you talking?
I got mine for 3,000, but I've just got one for my centre now, which was 4,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But sometimes
out there, it's a big investment, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not telling people to go out and buy them. If you've got the money surplus, it's an amazing investment. If not, there are so many different other ones out there. I think Bear Grylls or whatever's doing one, and just as long as it's filtered.
Yeah, I hear you.
I got a print out of the water for the Northwest, and we've got the highest concentrated chlorine.
Really?
Yeah. So you do all the tests with it there, all the chlorine stuff, the colours and stuff. It's like deep purple. Then you do it without it, nothing, and the taste, it's completely different.
Yeah. Okay, this is my next episode. Today we're talking about water. Okay, and nutrition. Can you give us headlines on the nutrition? I hear what you're saying about, I was exactly the same. I cut out dairy. I cut out sugar. I was like, I do know that sugar is not my friend and all of that. But one thing I was taught by a kinesiologist is that you don't have to buy organic. You can literally wash your food almost in washing up, like you were going to use washing up liquid and then rinse it after. No. Her son is a biologist, and he said that's the only thing you need to do.
I've got a Kangen water machine that does it anyway. You just soak it in.
Soak it in that.
You soak it for 5 minutes, drain it off, clean it, and it's taken.
And that cuts through it.
the average fruit or things like 12 different pesticides. So,
Okay. And nutrition, like, are you the eat protein, eat protein, eat protein person? Because
no.
that's all I ever hear.
When I first got diagnosed with my first one, I thought, right, I'm going to go vegan. And I went kind of loosely, but I still ate eggs. And obviously it came back out the worst. I went, well, that didn't work, did it? You know what I mean? So, but I was going in all the time because I was on 3 monthly scans until I came to one where it had come back. And I was always going saying stuff, I've researched this, and people going, it's so rare to have someone like you who wants to fight this. And I'm like, well, I think it's rare that people don't.
Yeah.
And she went, and I know she knows I always say it, but she said, you do realise that exercise and nutrition has no part to play in cancer. But if it allows you, you've got to remember this is 11 years ago. If it allows you to feel as though you've got a handle on it, then you keep doing it. And then 3 scans later, she comes and goes, I think you've got a point. So we're now going to run a trial out of Walton for the ketogenic diet, running alongside treatment whilst glioblastomas, but I didn't have one. My next scan I ended up getting. So I ended up being on the ketogenic diet.
Is that what you do now?
No, I did it for 14 months. Back then it was brutal because there's no keto bread to buy, no keto drink. You are consumed by food, and I think there's a massive place for it because you're essentially, the tumour has its food sources, and that is glucose. Every carbohydrate you take into your body turns into glucose, even fructose. Fructose is good, but if you're doing the ketogenic diet, you're trying to starve all carbohydrates. And there is new research now, or not new, a couple of years, that alcohol, acetone, can feel, but that's only if you are a really, really heavy, bordering around alcoholic with a liver issues. So yeah. So no, I did that. And what you got to remember is, when I was in that stage, I had to, but the way I look at it now is, I always said that I may have cancer, but cancer doesn't have to have me.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, I went teetotal for 3 years, 4 years. But if I'm not having the odd drink with my friends, if I'm not having a piece of cake with my daughter's birthday, or the odd, then it has got me. It's controlled my whole life. So I kind of came a bit back off that then, and then now I'm now 1% of the world's population with one of the 3 world's deadliest tumours. I've come back a lot. So I eat 80-20. 80% of the time, really clean, really healthy. But and it is a Friday usually after being in here. I make pizzas. I'm an amazing cook, so I make them. But I may have some ice cream. I might have some chocolate. I may have the odd time, like the weekend, I went to an event. I had a couple of drinks. That's not going to increase my chance of cancer. If I was losing weight, that's not going to make me put put weight on. Yeah. If you're making those decisions every day, every other, that's when the risk is at. So I live a quite balanced life now. I've a lot of the stuff I was so strict on, I've just completely let go now. Yeah. But I still have that 360 thing. I'm still doing all the other stuff. I still exercise. I still eat well. Yeah.
Yeah. So where you're at now, you mentioned you're in the 1% in the world who are living with your diagnosis. So what do we say? You're not cancer free. You'll never be cancer free.
Yeah, I'll never hear, because a glioblastoma, in its essence, even though you can have a scan that doesn't even looks clear, no evidence of disease, there are cells that are microscopic that can't be seen. That's why you can't have, when I had radiotherapy, you can't have proton beam. They just blast half of it as well. Yeah, and that wasn't fun because I had a full psychological breakdown in the last week of that due to being put on dexamethasone steroids. I nearly got sectioned. I was treated horrifically, but we won't go into that as well. And then I had to go through, this is how horrific but what I say to people is, what works for me may not work for you. What happens to me may not work for me. We could have the exact same glioblastoma, ADH1, wild type, methylated. We could have the exact same thing, but it isn't, because a cancer is as unique to you as your fingerprints and DNA. So what works for me may not work for you. So it's one of them. So I have people who go through, yeah, I'm all right. And I'm like, because when I went into 6 months of double strength, so I did dual radio and chemotherapy for 6 weeks. So five days radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and chemotherapy at the weekends. And my last week, I ended up having a full psychological breakdown. It's because they left me on dexamethasone steroids on too high a dose for too long. We parked that. Then I went to 6 months for the max amount of chemotherapy I can have for my size and my weight. At the end of taking my 5 days of tablets, I threw up from 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock till 6 next morning. Every half hour, throwing up, violently ill. Blood was coming up. I was eating and drinking. It's the point I was rushed in, put on a drip. That happened in cycle 2, cycle 3, and in cycle 4, my oncologist says, we have never had anyone so sick in my life as you. I said, okay, sorry. And I went, it's because I'm such an athlete that when the poison comes in and stuff, and he went, yeah, keep telling yourself that. With the trial, you want this drug called Aprin. So I was the first brain person to be like, I don't use the word patient, by the way, because we're not patients, we're people. We're not. I've spoke about this on a global symposium to neurologists, how we're treated. We're people, we've got feelings. We need to be included in the conversation. I'm very active in the House of Commons for the underfunding of brain tumours. We'll park all that. That's what we're talking about.
No, there's so many things I want to ask about all of this, yeah.
Yeah, so I went through chemotherapy, and that happened every single time, to the point where it was horrific. I was down to about 8 stone. I had ulcers all down my throat, down my mouth. I couldn't taste anything. I couldn't eat. I had no appetite, but I knew that food was fuel. So I was taking high protein stuff, and at one point I decided I'd rather be dead than go into cycle 6. I'd not really said that before. Didn't want to be it. But my wife dragged me through it. And I'm so glad she did.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, go on then.
No, I wanted to know what your situation is now. So how long have you been, where did you say that was? Is it 10 years?
My last treatment date was, not that it's ingrained in my head, April the 5th, 2015. So I'm 11 years now with the start, and I am 2 weeks away from being 10 years and 1% of the world's population.
Whoa.
I know. I always remember getting to 5 years. I always remember saying to the universe, like in my dark days, just give me a couple of years. Give me 5 years. And if I haven't made a difference or in any way or made a change, take me. Got to 5 years, like, can I have another 10? I think I'm doing good stuff.
Well, I love what you said there. If I haven't made a difference, and we know you have made a difference. So talk to us about the amazing things that you do, your trust and, charity work.
Yeah, so obviously I was a strength and conditioning coach, even after that, and I was working at such good, high level, and I was just loving life. And I fell out of love with it. When you've been through what I've been through, you evaluate your life, what mark have you made of the world. And don't get me wrong, I love what I did. But when you're working with athletes, semi-pro, you're looking for that 1%. And that 1% isn't making the team, isn't winning the fight. In the grand scheme of life, it means nothing. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. I made a lot of money. So I thought, I want to do something that helps. And I kind of went very public at 5 years in. I was anyway, but I thought, no. And one of the things that was, I wanted other people to know that there is another way, do you know what I mean? Yeah. You don't always have to go with a conventional kind of thing. There are other opportunities.
Talk in my language, Dave. Talk in my language.
With the NHS, I'm not going to slag them off. They saved my life.
I'm the same, yeah.
My wife's in the NHS, look, but they only give you this one pot. Say it's a pie. They give you an eighth of the pie. They don't tell you anything else. And they won't recommend anything else. There is so much else out there that you can do to improve your prognosis. Yeah. So I retrained as a cancer rehabilitation specialist. I left that job and I went away with a thing that I want to start a foundation. I didn't know how it was going to look like. It starts off, maybe it would be me having a foundation, raising money for other charities that had helped me, because there's an amazing one called the Willow Foundation. And there was not a lot before me, and that was it. It's for terminal adults to go away. I mean, it's a bit like Make-A-Wish, but you can't go to wherever. So we went down to London, stayed at the Hilton, and we watched Matilda. My daughter's amazing at drama. She still is now. She's incredible. And that was to make memories and stuff. I don't know how it happened. And then suddenly I just thought, well, I've got this qualification. I may as well try and... I said to my wife, trust me. She had to go back working full time and everything. And it started off working with 2 women who had been diagnosed with breast cancer in my mate's gym. And I had an office above a health food shop. And that's how it started. Fast forward now, I'm in a 4-story facility. It's Head of the Game Foundation is what I named it. In 2003, I was given the top award for the National Lottery for their top one.
So you have funding for the National Lottery?
Yeah, well, that's what kind of gave me that launch off point, because I got £10,000 for this grant. That was it. That was enough for me to rent a small space with a couple of bits of kit. That's, you've got to start small. I wasn't paying myself. Everything was going back into, because it was a CIC then. I wasn't a charity. Right. And then the big thing was we launched with a golf day at Coldy Golf Club. There was someone who I helped, a guy called Dominic Matteo. He played for Liverpool. And this is the kind of thing, if anyone gets a brain tumour, I get messages. So I reached out to him, as I did with Tom Parker as well from The Wanted. And I became so close with him. So I said to Dom, do you want to? I'm setting this foundation up. Do you want to come on board alongside me? So we did. So we used his name, and we had it, and it raised 28,000. That was able for me to get a lot more equipment in, and it enabled me to take on another coach, a girl called Olga, who was already a cancer rehabilitation, and that was kind of the slow start. And then, yeah, as I say, I've been winning awards. We're doing stuff in the UK that no one else is doing, if not the world.
Tell us what you're doing. Tell us what.
We have a unique cancer rehabilitation. So basically, we provide fully funded physical, mental, and emotional rehabilitation for anyone with a diagnosis of cancer. But having been through it myself, having lost my mum to cancer, who did the loved ones? So we also provide services free for all their family and loved ones, and that goes from counselling, online workshops for them. We have coffee mornings. We have counselling at all levels that we pay for, and that's from couples counselling, grief counselling, counselling for the individual, counselling for the loved one. And we also bring in an expertise called Brighter Days Ahead. And they work with young children from 0 to 8, maybe 9. And unfortunately, we've had 3 girls working with them where their parents have passed away or one's critically ill. And it's stuff that we provide free. We pay for everything. So the expense on the head of the game, because we're not government funded, we're not funded by the NHS. People think because we've gone this big, we have a waiting list of 450. I deliver sessions in Australia to people. Texas is how big we've got. But so everyone thinks we're this massive foundation. Look at us. We're not. I've got 3 coaches and my executive assistant, who is basically, without her, we wouldn't be where we're. Debbie Kruger as well. So we have to beg, borrow, rely on people to do charity events for us. We hold our own every so often. So we've only just had recently our charity football game down in Bromley, which Kelsey Parker, who's Tom Parker's wife, she's on our board. So we set it up. So we raised 10 grand down there, and it's these little things. But what we tend to find is people want to raise money for us because we show you where it goes. We're not like these other big ones where they have big advertising campaigns and money goes in. They've got directors. I don't pay myself to Ahead of the Game. I can't because it's a charity now, and I'm the lead trustee. But it's but yeah, we show people. There's a girl called Libby Wood, and I said I'd make her famous. Don't even know her. She did a skydive and raised £1,400. So we said, what do we need for that? So we've got, when you go onto our website, you've got our website. When you enroll to be on the program, there's a secret multifaceted one. It is incredible what's on there. So we got this guy to record, one of the best mindfulness coaches. He's recorded a 6-week course that goes on there. We invest everything into it.
Amazing. I'd like to give you. I've got a 6-week nervous system regulation course.
Let's do it. Throw it on top. Yeah.
I will happily give that to you to have that on.
Yeah. So then, as a byproduct, in the same facility where we've got, it's called the Northwest Wellbeing Hub. There's no correlation. There's no crossover whatsoever. But we run that out of here, and in this facility, and it's stuff that I use. As I was saying to you off thing, where I'm now, 1%, I'm actually suffering the damage and effects of radiation on my brain, which is going to lead me to the onset of early Alzheimer's and dementia, but that's not going to happen. So
Can we just say that you said, but that's not going to happen to me?
Yeah,
we know it's not. Not with that mindset. Never.
So we've got 3 hyperbaric chambers here, infrared saunas, infrared light beds, pulse electric magnetic field therapy. What else? Cold water therapy. We're just bringing in a lymphedema machine as well.
Are you?
Yeah. So I did Kilimanjaro last year, called Summit Against All Odds. World record pending, first person with glioblastoma to get to the top.
Okay, well done. I mean, you're going to have to try harder than that to impress me now.
£10,500, and that's for it to be for a lymphedema machine to come in, because people with breast cancer, they get their lymph nodes cut. But it's not just that; it happens to quite a lot. Exactly.
That's what I do.
Oh no, I didn't know.
That's what I work. Yeah, so I have the machine, and that's what I do, and I help others with that.
We were just going to get one in sort of proper medical grade, and that'll be free.
Yeah, for people. Because you can't get it. You can't. There's no help for lymphedema on the NHS. Well, I've got in other countries. In other countries they give them the machines. I know. But I bought mine because of my lymph nodes being taken out. So yeah, I treat other women.
The crazy thing is, when we did our qualification for hyperbaric, which is incredible, by the way, if there's one thing I've ever come across in my life, through all my years of sport, traveling the world, training things, the best thing about it is a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. It's the best thing, preventative, restorative, curative thing I've ever come across in
Can
my
you
life.
tell me a bit more? Because I don't know much about it.
Right. So this is funny because I have a mind, like, I absorb information. After I had my surgery, my second one, I had to go for neurological tests or psychological testing. And my report, I had the lowest percentile for memory recall, memory retention, cognitive thinking, critical thinking, the full works. And my report, which I still have, and when I do talks in schools, I love to show it to them. It basically said, David Bolton will never have the mental capacity or ability to A, be employed, or B, be self-employed ever again. And I sat here running 3 businesses, done qualifications, and my team go, "How do you?" If something goes in, it just goes in. And I researched. I should have a human biology degree, an alternative biohacker degree, literally. So when I'm
it's your absolute hyper focus, isn't it? Because why wouldn't it be? Because you want to be alive.
Yeah, and then I try not to go. I can go really scientific. I try not to because I lose people then.
You people want to hear what they want to hear. Like, how can you help me?
Hyperbaric oxygen. I'll try. Right, here we go. This is the quick version.
Okay,
right,
quick
we
version.
breathe in 21% oxygen. We breathe out 17% or 16%. That's why CPR works. And now, oxygen cells, molecules, transport around our body in red blood cells. Red blood cells, one can take about 1 million, and about 98% of your blood. So when you get an SpO2 meter, it says 98%. That's what's on the red blood cells. Now, the red blood cells go around the body in plasma, liquid plasma. So 1 or 2%. Now, there's 2 rules of hyperbaric. The greater the pressure, the smaller the molecules can dissolve, plus also the more that can be. Because our oxygen retention, delivery, whatever, is that efficient, there's no room for it, so it forces all the oxygen. So you suddenly have 99% enriched red blood cells, but 99% in your plasma. Now, our case study was a guy, diabetic foot, clean in half, due for amputation in 24 hours, refused. We delivered 28 sessions over a number of days. I won't go into depth, bore yet, and think. It closed over. It started to close over. After 50, completely healed. But he lost the use of his toes. But the complications he would have got from amputating his leg or his foot is huge. And where that works is where the red blood cells were going through and they were getting stuck in the plaque and they were getting stuck in the arteries. The plasma just flows around. And obviously, his leg had opened up with gangrene, hypoxia, the lack of oxygen in a tissue, went in, reinvigorated. But the other flip side of that is when you're in that, right, this is one I have to go quick because it's signed by. ATP is energy. We need energy. Trillion cells, we need energy. When you're in there, it gives you an abundance of it. Your body goes, well, what do we do with this? And it kicks out stem cells. So genesis, neurogenesis, osteogenesis, vascular, and angio. Anything with genesis is the new formation of. So with me, I'm in there, new formation of brain cells, neurosynapses. For him, the oxygen reinvigorated the tissue. Then you have blood vessels, bone, all stitched together. That's how it works. It's easier to tell me what it doesn't do than what it does do.
So basically do that. Anyone should be doing this.
They say you should have one a week if you can. It's money though, because you don't know when you're going to get a chronic illness or an acute injury. Before surgery 5, after surgery 5. There's loads of different guidelines as well. You know, it's not just for that, but for beauty, it's amazing because it detoxifies every single cell in your body, but it puts an abundance of fibroblasts into your skin, which is collagen. It's incredible for addiction, for recovery, for brain health, for Alzheimer's. I've got a book, a book in the sense that it's called The A to Z of Hyperbarics, and there's a QR code that tells you a little bit about what it is, and it takes you to a medical practice.
Amazing. Well, I think we'll link. Well, I mean, you've given us so many gems in this interview that we'll link everything, and obviously we'll link, all of. Anyway, sorry. I just want everyone to know, don't panic. We'll link it all in the show notes so you can access it.
Yeah, but I've created this centre that where we won awards. We had a launch. It's been 2 years. When I got the facility, it was horrific. I actually went back I took a gamble, moving from a tiny little room, but I could see the expansion. I could see the need. So I came in, went home to my wife, went, yeah, I've messed up. I don't know what I'm going to do. It was horrific. They'd left everything. There was dirt everywhere. There was mold. It was just the most disgusting thing, and I couldn't see past it. So we went in, did the kitchen, and it's took us 18 months of blood, sweat. We've been open all that time, but I'm the sort of person, unless it's immaculate, looks amazing. So we had the lot, yeah, it's brilliant. But we've got like a nutrition cafe now. We use only locally sourced stuff. We have plastic cups that are made from paper. We are so kind of in tune with the environment, and because that's what our body needs. We don't do microplastics, or anything. Now we don't. You should never microwave micro stuff because you get microwave plastics. You're also using a microwave to use radiation to heat up. Yeah, I won't get into this.
No,
We've got a garden.
those things. Yeah. Well, I feel like we've got a whole nother episode here. Yeah.
We provide stuff for the people on our course, and not just that. Those who are on the waiting list. We do meditation. We do gong baths. We do mantra meditation. We do yoga. We do Pilates. All in this facility, which is free.
And go on, Dave, because they're all things that I've covered on this podcast. What would you say to anyone who might think I'm crackers when I go on about it? Why would you say it's important? All of those last therapies that you shared.
It's about nourishing your body, your mind, but we're all energy. We're all a vibration. Whatever you see in front of this table, you put that under a microscope. I think actually we're all energy bouncing off each other, and that's the energy. We are energy. Put it this way: 11 years ago, I was playing rugby. I was kickboxing. I was a nice lad. If you'd have said to me, I'd be doing sound baths, I'd be doing Reiki, I would have laughed. But it's resetting your body. We shouldn't be on painkillers. Our body is an amazing system that can heal itself with these vibrations and everything, and all these plant medicines. It's only since we've been Western world, and I could go into this one to do with the Rothschilds and how it used to be, but it is. So it's about taking that back to yourself, and it shouldn't be. I'd say prevention, but it shouldn't be like what happened to me. I was healthy, I thought I was, until a seismic event happens to you that you understand that actually health is all you have. Forget the wealth, it's health. And that's what I kind of say. And it's important about looking after yourself. And when people come here, they see it. We have people coming from France, Belgium, Ireland. I do have plans, although I don't know if I can do anything at the moment. We've got the top floor, which isn't being used. I want to convert that into residential to save people having to pay for hotels around here as well. But we're on the coast as well, with the beach and yeah.
And sorry, where is it exactly? Did you say?
We're in a place called New Brighton on the Wirral. Yeah.
Oh my God! And you've got 450 people on the waiting list,
and it keeps going. And whereas Debbie was
going to get even bigger.
Well, Debbie was saying and I said, I am not worried. It is not. It shows the inequity within our own country that there is no one else really. I'm sure there is doing bits, but no one's doing it on the scale we're doing. Blending. But yeah, it takes a lot, as I say, and that's the big thing.
That's incredible. Yeah. And it's being funded really through everyone else's fundraising, your fundraising, and
some good grants from the National Lottery. Most of it has been the National Lottery or sports, keeping us going. There was a time at Christmas where I had 2 or 3 nights because I do everything. I'm the bookkeeper. I'm the accountant. Well, I'm not the accountant. I do have an accountant. But I do everything, I'm the secretary, I'm the treasury, I'm the guy who has to go out and do the meetings. I drive it forward. It's like me and Dave, solely our jobs. And there was a couple of nights over Christmas just gone where I worked out we had 2 months left. Because anyone with cancer shouldn't have to pay for rehabilitation and stuff. No, as I've always said.
What I say, yeah.
You go with cancer, your partner becomes a researcher, a doctor, a fundraiser. It's a carer. It's so much on that family, and that's why. And I will not relent on that at all. To the point where you don't even have to put this in there because in 2021 2022 we were really short on money, and we weren't CIC, which means you can't get as many funding anyway. And Sam goes, "Why don't you do freeze in February?" Now I'm a snowboarder, obsessed with it, who hates the cold because I got slight neuropathy through chemotherapy. Right. So I was like, ugh. So we did this challenge, and I swam every single day in the Irish Sea with no wetsuit in 3 named storms, every condition you can think of apart from lightning. And when I first started, I was shivering nonstop. I'm like literally all day. By day 14, not a problem in the world. And now I am obsessed with cold water swimming. Like the benefits it does for you are unreal. I swim with middle-aged women going through perimenopausal or menopausal, and when I'm swimming with them, they say, if I miss a swim, I get a full onset. If I swim, I don't. It's amazing for pain, mental health. When you come out, it's that explosion of endorphins, oxytocins, norepinephrine. It's an incredible piece of kit, and I actually don't have neuropathy. I've reset my system.
Really?
Yeah. So like when you go to the gym and you wait, I could talk. I'm obsessed with it all. But basically, when you go to the gym, and the more you go to the gym, the stimulus you're putting in muscles, they grow.
Yeah.
It's the same with your cells. The more you expose your cells to cold water, the more they become adapted. So I can put myself down more down towards hypothermic levels without that onset of it as well. So
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. So I want to ask you, do you think, I mean, clearly you've achieved so much, and I feel like it's only the beginning. You're just going to go on to do so many phenomenal things because you never stop. But do you think that you would have achieved this much in your life had it not been for, first of all, the accident and then the cancer?
yeah,
You think you
yeah.
would?
I think even from a young age, I just had something in me. I remember
Yeah.
my mum when she was here, basically saying the teachers pulled her in and said, "Your son's got a gift." This is when I was at like an infant school and said, "But you're going to have to channel his energy into to some way because there's one or two ways. He's either going to go down the wrong path and that you've lost him, or so they put me into sport and I just thrived in that
Yeah,
environment."
and that was your thing. But you were doing, but you've done all that anyway. So
Yeah.
I just think maybe the universe went, okay, we're
Mm.
going to give him this, and then we're going to give him this, and then you will. So maybe you would have gone on to do other amazing, great, challenging things. But I think you've,
You certainly see life through new eyes, and it has made me.
mm,
You know, I'm in a position where I'm not many people. I have to live every single day knowing this could be growing. You know, it's an incurable cancer, but I choose to believe that it's not coming back at all.
yeah,
Um, I'm actually grateful for having it. I will never. I will. Yeah, I am actually grateful because, as I said before, it's work, 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 work. Wanting to give my kids a better life, give them all the money, but all
mm,
they want is time. And I've seen things and I've done things that I would never experience. I wouldn't be sat here with
yeah,
the beautiful you, Alex, but I wouldn't have this. And I truly believe that this is what I should have been doing my whole life: is creating a sense and helping others who need it the
yeah,
most. And I wouldn't swap my life for anyone's. And if
yeah.
I was to pass away next year, so be it. I'd be happy, but I'm not going
No,
to.
I know you're not, but
I'm,
that's so
I'm
beautiful.
I'm
That's
so
so
content.
beautiful.
I'm so happy with life. I've never been a materialistic. I'm about memories and travel and stuff.
Mm,
And I just love what I've created. I, I get told of inspiration because I live this life. It's a normal life to me. I don't
mm.
see myself as anyone different, but I do understand that to other people it is.
Yeah. And I think you're saying, oh no, I'd have done everything anyway, even if I hadn't had the cancer
No,
and the accident.
uh,
But I
but
think
yeah, maybe.
what you're doing is so special, and I don't think you'd have come to that. You wouldn't have come to what you're doing now, like you
Oh,
say.
definitely not. No,
No.
no, no, 100%. I wouldn't. I'd probably be in the police now, not see my family, because one of the things I got told when I got promoted, the chief super, John Martin, who played rugby with, brought me, he goes, it's about time you got promoted. He goes, you're going to go all the way. Can I give you a bit of advice? He said, I went all the way to chief super. I'm reconnecting with my kids now at the age of their 24 and 25. The higher you
Oh,
go, the less you're at home. So I always said I would never do that, but you don't know, do you?
no, I think 100% that's why you were given cancer. It was like, nope, otherwise he's never going to see his kids. Honestly, because you just, like you say, you reframe everything because you're like, it's not about the money. You can have all the money in the world. It's not giving you that sense of fulfillment. It's not, it's like you say, it's memories,
That's
it's
why you
your
need to
kids.
prioritize health over wealth, because you can have all the
Yeah.
wealth in the world, but when your health goes, you've got nothing.
Oh my God, 100%. Oh, I love it. I love it. So, what advice would you give to someone? Obviously, this is something you do day in, day out, but what advice would you be giving to someone right now if they'd literally just received a diagnosis and feel totally lost in the way that you did at one point and you just froze?
I'd probably say to remember that you're not alone. And I think that can be one of the scariest things, that you think you are alone. But for me, I would say that, listen, there is another way, there is another option, but always remember there's hope. And at times, more than ever, you're going to have to stand back up and take control of your own situation. Um, But one thing I will say is accept your diagnosis. That's not going to change, but never accept your prognosis. They go off statistics. As soon as the statistic is written, it is out of date. They go off at average. They look at the normal person, the average person, always remember average, and they go, yeah, it's this cancer, he's that age, that's it. It doesn't go off positivity, mindset, that will to live, which is critical. And I hate saying that to someone who's just been diagnosed. You do have to go through that cycle. Why me? I did. Why me? Why me? You know,
Yeah.
why not the rapists, the murderers, the scum out there? Then you have to come to realization that cancer doesn't prejudge. It doesn't, it just is. And actually, it's 1 in 2 now. So it shouldn't be why me. It should be, it shouldn't be why me. It should be why not me. And it's about going through that cycle. And then the sooner you can flip that switch to positive and fight, the better the chances you will be as
Yeah.
well. And I just say, but then they don't look at, when they look off the averages, they don't look at what we've all talked about: nutrition, diet, exercise, alternative therapy, spirituality, whatever it is for you, yoga, meditation, the full work. They don't go into any of that. So that's what I mean. Just remember, you're not average and you're not alone. And there is loads of people out there if you need to speak to them. And if you are going through it and you're struggling, get in contact with the Head of the Game Foundation. Sign up to be on our program, because even though there's a huge waiting list, the raft of information, of videos, of exercise. We've even just done a circuit training where I'm training as though you are with me. It's quite funny. We're just about to put chair exercises in, because we just had someone I was speaking to go, but she had long COVID and she couldn't. She said, what could I do? We could do chair exercise. And I went, we need to put that in as well. So it's something that we're massively plied with. So there is a facility there for you to utilise. There's a massive waiting list, but there's stuff for you to do whilst
plenty online, and this is all online.
Yeah, definitely. So you just go on to Head of the Game Foundation.
Head of the Game Foundation.
Register to be part of our course. There is a massive waiting list. There's people who have been there now nearly 10 months. I do apologise, but it's got nothing to do with it. It's just the inequity. Yeah. We can't take more people on with the level of funding that we have. So it's...
Okay, so everyone listening, I suggest if you're thinking about making a charitable donation or running a fundraising event, please do it for Ahead of the Game, because, I mean, it's just phenomenal what you're doing, and it's so important. And just that, I mean, why I wanted you on the podcast, because I need people to hear these stories, and I need people to know there is another way, and you are just walking, talking, living proof. Yeah. I mean, you are literally as you say, you're defying all the odds.
I would say, it is, I'm not saying don't do the NHS. There's a reason there, but they won't give you the full picture. So it's important that you do your research, that you do look into it, and you are proactive in it, because the more proactive you are, the better chances of smashing that prognosis out the window and living way beyond, if not, reversing it.
Oh my God, what a beautiful gift you are to the world. You really are.
I don't know why I could say that.
No, and I'm not married to you, so okay, we'll just put a little disclaimer on that. But honestly,
he just gets big-headed.
But it's so generous of you to share this, and the work you're doing is phenomenal. It's just, I'm 100%. We're going to be having another conversation off air about how I can support, and if there's anything I can give with the healing and things that I have to offer.
And I'm all about that. I'm all about collaboration. A lot of other charities won't see us as competition. And I'm like, how can you have competition in the world of cancer?
Oh my God. Please come. Yeah, why would they call it competition? But you know what? I think this is so key, because quite often, like, we fundraise for different things, and my mum died of Alzheimer's, and my aunt died, and my other aunt is suffering with Alzheimer's now. And so I'm always like, I want to give the money to Alzheimer's research, but actually what I really want to do is get to how you cannot have Alzheimer's and get that piece out there of, because I know that it's completely preventable, but people don't always want to hear that. And so now I'm like, I want to be donating to the charities that you can like you say, you can see what they're doing, and you can see the really going to help.
The results and the stories that have got coming through here are incredible. Incredible. I mean,
Oh, Dave, that's amazing. I could go on forever. I already think we might have to put this episode in 2 parts.
There's so much more I haven't even told you about the time I got skin cancer, but it's...
Oh God! I can't believe you're throwing that in.
I don't talk about it because it's so irrelevant compared to what I've been to. I just kind of go, oh yeah, I got skin cancer. Oh yeah, but hey.
Okay, but we're trusting you're good.
Yeah, I know. So far, healthy, happy, loving life. Wouldn't change anything, and and hopefully making a difference. Because I don't know if you saw before Christmas, there was this thing. The NHS have launched Super Survivors. So it's anyone who is living way beyond their kind of time. Now, I thought everyone was saying, I said, it's good, but they're not looking at the full picture. They're looking at conventional treatment. So I got a message from the BBC, would you come on and talk about this? So we went on, we had this big chat first pre-meeting, and I'm like, well, I think it's great, but they're not doing so we're chatting away, and I said, listen, I don't have a genetic mutation that allows me to be that. I'm a normal person. Or people go, yeah, but you're so fit, but it doesn't matter. I have women who are coming through who are so weak, who are now thriving, because we don't survive with cancer, we thrive from it. So he went, but how do you know you haven't? I said, well, I don't know. Would you come on that study? So I went and did, I said, well, if they took us. So when I was on BBC not so long ago, it was a full piece. And we did that on BBC this morning. It went out there, and at the end, he kind of went, just to let you know, I've spoke to the main guy at Oxford, because it's run by, he's been going around the world in all the ones, but Oxford, not Oxford, Cambridge are the ones that took the lead. He said, so I spoke to him and said, listen, it's Dave Bolton. He wants to be on okay, yeah. What's he got? He's just hitting 10 years now with a glioblastoma IDH1. And he went, no, he's not. And he said to him, he basically said to him, he must be mistaken. That's not happening. He says, no, honestly, research me, and I'm now hopefully being on it.
Wow.
So I think it's great, because they did say what would about. I said, for me, it would be like unlock. If I had something to unlock, it would be worth me getting cancer to do it. So I don't think it is, but you don't know, dear. So yeah.
Well, if anyone's going to do it, Dave, I feel like it's going to be you.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Well, watch this space. Again, anything like that, we'll put it all into the show notes, because I think people are going to be wanting to find out everything about you and all your incredible work. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing this.
No, thank you for inviting me. And this is why I kind of do this. This is why I kind of went very public, and I always have to, because I want other people out there to understand, you can beat this. You can outlive your prognosis. For me, I'm going to say something now where I think I truly started living when I heard that I had cancer. Don't get me wrong, not for the first 2 years when I was in hell, but now I can look back, because my life wouldn't be, as we've already discussed, I wouldn't be on this course. It would have gone that way. So,
and that's why you're on the Cancer Cured Me podcast.
Yeah, well, there we go. Because that's what
it is. And I'm so glad, because the more people who can confirm that, I don't look like such a nutter when people go, what do you mean cancer cured you? It's like, no, you won't understand unless you have it.
But what we try to do is normalize cancer.
Yeah.
It's not cancer, death. No, it does not mean that at all. It doesn't mean that at all. Yeah. So it's that, and that's what we try to do. And a good thing before we go, there's a girl called Udwak. She was from Nigeria. She came over here she got ovarian cancer, and she was supposed to be sending money, and she couldn't. So we brought her in, because if you isolate yourself when you've got cancer, it's scientifically proven that it speeds up progression. She comes here. She's been here, and about 3 months ago, she goes, I wouldn't do the accent because it'd be so horrific. But she said, Dave, she goes, weird in this country. And I said, why is that? She goes, because back home in Nigeria, it's doom, gloom. Everyone's so depressed about cancer. But in here, it's all happy. It's all positive. I said, no, it is here in this facility. Go anywhere else it isn't. She goes, oh.
Yeah, this isn't an NHS hospital. Oh, Dave, it is just an absolute pleasure. I've had so many who knew you could have so many giggles and jokes in an episode around cancer?
I told my story just as it is. It's very, but I always see the funny side of everything and the positive. You've got to laugh. If you don't laugh, you cry, don't you? So it's
absolutely.
What we'll say before we go is, it is important to know that although I was always told positive, it is important to know that you can have down days. You can have down days where, and I had, usually it's Christmas when I'm running to the ground. But in the early days, I had quite a few where I just can't be doing this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And you wallow and you sit in bed and you watch TV. That's normal. Allow yourself those days. Yeah. It's when those days roll. What you need to do is draw a line in the sand and say, tomorrow's going to be a better day. It's when those days roll into the next. That's when your support network, your family, it comes in, leads that you may be going down the road of depression. But it is normal to have days where you can't be bothered. I want to get across that, because people go, oh, you're so positive. I am, but not always. And
you've been so open about, how you let the tears flow, because that's a release. You've got to be open. Emotions are there to be felt, right? And then, as you say, is when it's happening all the time that you need to reach out. But feel those emotions, let it out, have the tears. That's all part of it.
I talk quite openly about mental health, and it was only when I started talking about it that I realised I was actually part of a big club, and I don't understand why it's such a stigma, taboo for men to talk about it. I see it as a sign of strength. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I do talks, and I stand there at the end and say, so if I can open myself so honestly, I go into it much more than what I have on here, like really, to a load of strangers. I'm just hoping that one of you can have the confidence to speak to someone else, whether it's, and I say a couple of charities or your family. And what I tend to find is after I've done a talk, I have quite a few people coming up want to speak to me about stuff. So, and I find that really rewarding as well.
Oh. Now we need another episode on that, men's mental health, because that's huge for me. I had someone on last week talking about, he almost had a complete breakdown, but he started up this full group for men and nervous system regulation work, and it's massive. And great. That makes me very happy.
I'm going to stop talking.
No, honestly, we said before, didn't we? A pair of us chatterboxes, we could go on forever. So yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
No
And I
problem.
know people will have got so much from this.